That was Avantasia with a song off their latest CD, Moonglow. They're going to do 5 dates in the United States later this year. Well, in a couple of months, actually. They'll be in Chicago in May at the Patio Theater. The name of the song was Lavender. Before that was Battle Beast with Eden off of No More Hollywood Endings. And Dream Theater started that set with Pale Blue Dot off of Distance Over Time. They will be at the Chicago Theater on Friday. I will be there. I hope you are too. I am Ken the Metal Professor, and you've been listening to Mostly Metal here on WVLP. And it's just about time to switch over to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. But before we do that, I want to let you know how you can help out the station if you would so feel inclined. We are your only community, all-volunteer, nonprofit radio station here at WVLP 103.1 FM. And if you've been wondering, hey, how can I help support the station and keep it running? Well, money is always the answer. But, you know, it's nice if you just drop off cash or send a check, but that's not how we really operate. We always give you something in return. A couple of big fundraising events go on throughout the year, and this year is no exception. And coming up in April will be our event Stars Over Valpo. This is a musical event held at the Duesenberg Recital Hall on the Valparaiso University campus. It is on Sunday, April 21st, I believe. I'm frantically flipping around the studio here. There was a piece of paper that has the dates on it for certain. So put an asterisk on that. But what I can tell you is that the event begins on Sunday night, and there's about 20 different musical acts that are going to come and play for you. And this will go on for about 2.5 hours. So it's a lot of fun, lots of good music of local acts who have volunteered their time to come in and play a song for everybody to help support the station. The tickets are $20. There will also be some T-shirts on sale. You can buy your tickets at the door, but we recommend that you purchase them in advance. You can get them here at the station. Just write info@wvlp.org. You can get some from me directly. Drop me a line at metalprofessor@gmail.com. And once we get into the next set, I'm going to poke around and make sure I have the date right, and I will let you know during an upcoming break. But having said all that, it is now time for the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program.
Your insubordination will not be tolerated.
Here we go. It's the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. You're listening to the show on WVLP 103.1 FM here in Valparaiso. When I first started going to the local wrestling shows in this area, the first one I got to see was Smash Mouth Pro Wrestling, and that took place over at Inman's, and this was probably about 4 years ago. Maybe more, but at least 4 years ago. And then after a few shows, they vanished. They have another show. They had another show recently out in Cedar Lake, and don't know if there will be more to come. So it's been sort of a dry spell for Valparaiso. There were sporadic shows. Pro Wrestling King would do a show at the Moose Lodge once in a while, but it's been a dry spell since there has been wrestling in Valpo. But that all changed this past Friday night, March 22nd at Zow Island. The new promotion Wicked Pro Wrestling fired up, and they brought wrestling back to town. And what you have here on the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program is delayed audio coverage of that event. I went there, I recorded, I trimmed down, I described what was going on. And so if you were there, you get to relive some of the highlights. If you weren't there, you get to hear some of the things that happened, all of the things that happened, ideally. And if you don't like wrestling, give it a try, and you might decide this could be fun to go to. So it's like us listening to a sporting event on the radio, except it isn't live and it isn't actually in real time because it was about a 3-hour show and it's been squished down into less than an hour of recap. So without further ado, here comes the first half of the show. Wicked Pro Wrestling's Wicked Beginnings from Zow Island on the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. It's Friday, March 22nd, 2019, and today is a milestone date for Valparaiso, Indiana, as professional wrestling has returned to town. I'm Ken the Metal Professor, and I am representing WVLP at the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program at Zow Island this evening for the debut professional wrestling event, Wicked Beginnings, put on by the new promotion Wicked Pro Wrestling, which should be running here in Valparaiso pretty much every month from here on out if what they say holds to plan. And I'm excited about that. So it's a little bit before showtime. Showtime is supposed to be 8 o'clock. It is 7:40, but there might be a pre-show match. And so as usual, when I'm covering these events, I'm going to record noise and the crowd and crashing and banging in the ring, and I'm going to tell you what's going on, and then I'm going to squish this 2.5-3 hour show down to about a 45-minute to an hour recap to air on Sunday nights. When you're listening to this, it's not live. It's a couple of days after the event. It's like the Reader's Digest condensed version of professional wrestling. So in just a second, we'll get underway with Wicked Pro Wrestling's Wicked Beginnings. It is time for the pre-show match here at Wicked Beginnings. And if you've become familiar with wrestling in this area, you know that the family has already hit the ring from the music in the background. Charlie Jr. has already grabbed the mic.
Well, let's get down to business, because there's a happening tonight on Zow Island. WPW Wicked Pro Wrestling makes its debut tonight. And what way to bring in a new era than the craziest, sickest, mother you know what is that you know? That is the family. And to start things off, I got the disgruntled youthful family, Joey
Last week's guests on the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program.
Do all think he was the boy next door? Oh, hell no. He's a baby face killer. Shake the face, Andrew! And if you don't know who I am, my name is Junior. Charlie Jr. And you, Mr. Oompa Loompa, need to call out the play.
That's going to be a very hard act. I'll do my best. And their opponents coming to the ring at this time. This is the team of Tone C and Joey Britton. Ladies and gentlemen, they will be facing the family.
All right, so we've got Joey Rancid and Jake Andrews of the family against Tone C and Joey Britton in this pre-show match.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to show Joey Britton what a real athlete looks like.
So apparently coming to WVLP to be a guest on this show pays off, because to start this match, Jake Andrews gave Joey Britton 3 shoulder blocks in a row to try to knock him off his feet. None of them worked, so he traded out for Joey Rancid, and Joey Rancid took Joey Britton off his feet on the first try. Jake Andrews was impressed. So just from this pre-show match, it's apparent that Wicked Pro Wrestling is kind of being the United Nations of Northwest Indiana wrestling, because just in the building involved in this match at this one point, the very first one, you had Joey Boom Boom from ARW Pro being the ring announcer. You have Tone C, who I've seen in EHF, in the ring. You've got Ref Lexi, who I've seen in PWK. And then you also have the family, who I've seen from ARW. And this is just the first match, which the family has just won. So the family are undefeated in Valparaiso so far in 2019.
Yes, I do, actually. Thank you. At this very second, I would like for all of you to put your hands together, please. And please help me bring out Mr. John Rose. One of the owners.
Guest on the show 2 weeks ago.
It is because of what you see here tonight, because of this individual right here, John Rose.
How's everybody doing tonight? Okay. I cry a lot, sweetheart. Forgive me.
It's okay, brother. I got your back.
Let me,
That's my brother, John. What brought us here is his wife had a heart attack just before Christmas, and she went into the hospital, and they cracked her chest open to do surgery and realized they couldn't. So about her second day in the hospital, she woke up, she ordered breakfast, and she coded. So he lost his wife, my sister-in-law, and her dying wish was that he got back into wrestling. He's been in this business for a really long time. He's wrestled, he's managed, he's owned, he's done everything. So here we are. This is all for his wife, Lisa. And can you talk now? Okay.
I mean, this is really overwhelming. I mean, God, there's a lot of seats here tonight. Thank you so much. Right now, I'd like to invite any fans to come up around the room that knew Lisa. I know you guys did, so anybody that knew Lisa, the wrestlers, just, we're not going to do a 10-bell salute because she would not want that, but I just want to thank each one of these guys for being here. You have no clue what it means to me. Guys, we want to just kind of mill around here, say hi to some of the fans. I want to thank them in the best way I know how. Is these are some of the best individuals on the face of the earth. As far as what you see here tonight, this is the best in the Midwest. So let's give them a big round of applause because And without these guys, it wouldn't be the show. So thank you, one and all. I also want to thank Zayo Island and our concession people back there tonight. Again, you guys are awesome. Thank you for having us. Heaven is back there, Dustin and Ryan, so thank you. My niece Serena, who's running the 50-50 and the raffle, and we got a bunch of stuff to raffle off tonight, so thank you. My nephew Joe, her husband, who's selling hats and looking rather pretty tonight, thank you. My doorman, Josh Hill, best doorman in the business, folks, thank you. My sister-in-law, Jesse Bayhill. Oh, by the way, Josh Hill's my brother, so I apologize for that. Kim Luther had me on the show a couple weeks ago. Thank you. Thank you, Andy. And sis, thank you. Oh, and there's a really pretty girl walking around with the camera, by the way. That's my other niece, Katie. So I think I got it. Joey Boom Boom, John DeMoss, thank you. And yeah, so, and I see Tony's kind of lurking back there in the shadows for some reason. Tony, thank you too. Thank all you fans. Hey, let's get to some wrestling. How's that sound?
She will be your host tonight. She is in the ring at this time. Let's give her an amazing round of applause. Thank you.
All right, no more mushy. Let's get wicked! All right, this first match, we got from Middlesboro, Kentucky, Chris Ray.
The first match on the card, the official part of the card, is going to be Chris Raid against the British brawler Preston Churchill. I won't know for sure until I get to listen to it later on, but I really hope that the prelude to the show sounded good and I get to leave it all in, because that was a pretty special few minutes with John Rose talking about the reason why this promotion came to be. He told this story when he was in the studio a couple of weeks ago, but this time he got to tell it to the whole crowd. And it gives you a little bit of a sense of the, the brotherhood that's involved in this whole professional wrestling business that I get to watch from the outside looking in. Chris Raid's got the cowboy thing. He came out with a cowbell on a rope and a cowboy hat. Preston Churchill is walking around the ring telling the crowd he doesn't like them very much. Preston Churchill wants the crowd to get on their feet and show some respect. That's not working. He's accompanied to the ring by someone I don't know, but the gentleman that accompanied him to the ring is wearing a white fur coat, and he has a hat on with gray spiky hair sticking up off his head. He looks like the Guy Fieri of wrestling. He's carrying a box of snack food around the ring and throwing nibbles to people in the front row. And the wrestling action has already left the ring and is on the other side of the room where I can't really see it. Chris Raid is coming back into the ring. Preston Churchill is in the process of getting counted out. He's coming back, though, so I think we're all right. The action is still going on in the first match. Preston Churchill against Chris Rains. I might have said Chris Raid earlier. Rick Raid is here, and I think I got my last names mixed up. Chris Raines is the cowboy. I mentioned Preston Churchill's partner at ringside with the white fur coat. The coat has Vanilla Gorilla etched on the back. And right before I got back on the microphone, during this match, we heard over the sound system, 5 minutes gone in the match. 5 minutes, I believe John Rose was saying that. And if that means that Wicked Pro Wrestling is actually going to have time limits on their matches, I'm really excited about that. And Preston Churchill's supposed to be the dirty one, but Chris Raines just gave him 2 thumbs to the eye in a row. This match is still going on between Preston Churchill and Chris Raines, and we just had an announcement that there were about 2 minutes left in the match, which means that Wicked Pro Wrestling does have time limits, and I don't know what to do with myself now. Both men are down. The Vanilla Gorilla is distracting the ref. Chris Raines is now over into the corner, putting his hands on the Vanilla Gorilla. While he's doing that, here comes Preston Churchill to clobber Chris Raines from behind. Bulldog DDT. And there you go. Preston Churchill is the winner.
Everyone shut up! This is not how we're doing this tonight.
This is Michael Allen coming to the ring
You'll talk when I'm done.
with Dave Allen.
We got 3 problems with Wicked. I know that. First of all, you need to know who the hell we are. My name is Michael Allen, and I am the cousin and representative to the flawless one, Dave Allen. What are we doing in Valparaiso? My first problem with Wicked is the fact that I'm in Valparaiso, Indiana. I went to get something to eat earlier. I saw a bunch of hippies at the Blackbird Cafe and a bunch of fat people walking out of the freaking cupcake shop. My other problem I had was with Victoria Rose. Little Miss President. Do you know who this man is? This is the flawless one, Dave Allen. He is the North American champion at Smash Mouth. He is the Acme heavyweight champion. He's ARW's Indiana State champion. And he's not even on the card? You sign this man, you don't put him in a match? He deserves the main event, and we demand he's in the main event tonight. Wait, don't even start, Santa Claus.
No. Guys, whatever you do, please do not call this man Cockroach. He does not like that name, so please do not call him Cockroach.
Here I was the other day walking through my NCAA picks. Of course, Valparaiso University isn't in the tournament because they suck.
Hey now.
And I hear this little podcast on Ken Luther's show. And we got Santa Claus over here. Oh, Dave Allen's a cockroach. Oh, Dave Allen's a cockroach. You know what, John Rose? You got a bigger problem now. This man, right here. Oh, yeah. No, back up.
You know what? Now that I get here, I see so many flaws. You want me to count them?
How dare you? How dare you? You don't talk to Dave that way.
He doesn't know me.
This is the best wrestler in Memphis, Indiana.
So you say.
Dave, hey, get him! Grab him!
I am not a wrestler. Do not grab me. I'm not a wrestler. See, when you call a man a cockroach, you are a cockroach.
Vince? I'll give it to you. Not for a title, but I'll give it to you. Against this man right there. It'll be you against Hewlett for the main event. Non-title.
So Michael Allen and Dave Allen were in the ring, disrupting the show and causing havoc. Humek came out from the back to try to even things up, and the Allens skedaddled after that. Here we go, match number 2, triple threat match, Cujo, the Polish heartthrob, and Sanji. And Sanji bailed out of the ring immediately after the bell. Good strategy, or Polish heartthrob and Cujo decided they don't need Sanji. Cujo is channeling his inner Peter Criss with his face makeup tonight. All three men are finally in the ring. Together, Cujo and Sanji just had a little moment where they shook hands and they decided, hey, we're the two guys with face paint. He doesn't have any, so we should team up against him. So currently it's 2 against 1. And it looks like Cujo just got the Polish heartthrob to submit. Sanji was just outside the ring, not doing anything at that time. He could have come in and broken that up, but he didn't.
The winner by submission, Cujo.
Third match is Rick Raid against Austin Fury. And in this match, Austin Fury dives out of the ring right after the bell. Ref Jeremy is in the ring. He'll get this thing under control. Fury dives out of the ring again. Raid just hit Fury with a vicious spear. And now he drops him with a slam. The crowd wants one more time, and Rick Raid looks like he's going to oblige. And that second slam does it. Rick Raid defeats Austin Fury. Daniel Stark came to the ring for the next match with his manager, Damian Saint. And I'm not sure if that was audible, but Damian Saint put his ears over Daniel Stark. Put his hands over Daniel Stark's ears as Stark was getting booed. And Damian Saint told him, don't listen to them, they live in cornfields. Which is not true, I live in a subdivision. And now Drex Odell is in the ring for this match as well. There, the crowd likes Drex Odell. They do not like Daniel Stark. Drex Odell. Daniel Stark. Haven't seen this for a while. Drex Odell went into the ropes and got his arms tangled up between the top rope and the second rope. Daniel Stark distracted the ref while his manager Damian Saint went over and walloped Drex Odell a couple of times until Odell got unlocked out of the ropes. Oh, but that slam you heard was Daniel Stark going down on his back. Up, but not a 3 count. Drex Odell just broke Daniel Stark in half with a suplex. Up. Damian Saint's up on the ring apron. Distracting the ref. Now Drex Odell is turned around facing the ref and Damian Saint. Stark had come up with, looks like brass knucks or something like that. Drex Odell, don't turn your back. There you have the end of the first half of Wicked Beginnings, put on by Wicked Pro Wrestling this past Friday at Zhao Island. Wicked Pro Wrestling is a new promotion running shows in Valparaiso regularly from here on out, we hope, supposedly every month. So there ought to be a show coming up in April, and I will give you details on that. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. You're listening to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program here on WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. Right before we got into that first half of the show, I mentioned a WVLP fundraiser coming up in April called Stars Over Valpo. It's a night of music starting Sunday evening at the Duesenberg Recital Hall at Valparaiso, Indiana. Plenty of time to get some more details about this, but tickets are $20, and we would appreciate as much support as we can get to keep the lights on in this place. So let me know, metalprofessor@gmail.com if you would like to get your hands on some tickets. And the date I mentioned before was incorrect. It is Saturday, April 14th. Will be Stars Over Valpo, and you'll hear more about that from me and from any other show that you listen to on the air between now and then. Moving on from there, we've got the second half of Wicked Pro Wrestling's events coming up. I was there Friday night with my mics and recorded a whole bunch of stuff and have edited it down so it's doable in a reasonable amount of time here. So this is the second half of the delayed audio coverage of Wicked Beginnings.
All right, this next match is a three-way match. this in on any belt, any time, over a year span. Who's ready?
To kick off after intermission, we have another triple threat. Diesel Troxy is already in the ring. He was screaming for his competition on his way to the ring. Rounding out this triple threat with Diesel Troxy are Ryan Skills and Rockstar Johnny Nye. Ryan Skills offers a sportsmanlike hand. Diesel Troxy just walks around the ring and starts shoving everybody. And now he just got 2 atomic drops and the double clothesline for his trouble. Yeah, when someone tries to be a good sport, you play along. Oh, and then Rion just punches Johnny Nye when he wasn't looking. Be a good sport and keep your eyes open. Those are the lessons we're learning here.
And our winner, Diesel Troxy.
Diesel Troxy is the winner of this triple threat.
Anywhere trophy. Yes, the option.
I think it was by submission. I can't tell because people decided standing in front of my table and blocking my view would be fun. But he has the Anytime Anywhere trophy now, so he can challenge for any Wicked Pro Wrestling title anytime, anywhere for the next year.
Five tag teams for the Wicked Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion. And our referee, Jake Work.
What is this? Don't you people know who we are? The family doesn't need to go through some 5-team scramble. You should just be handing those titles over to us right now. But, since Charlie Jr. doesn't like to be fair, what we're gonna do when we wanna get involved, we'll get involved. You know what I mean? This is family rules, our game. So what you need to do now, BJ, call out the prey. Or give it to the chick.
Alrighty then.
So I was watching NXT this week, and it was the week where they announced that Tommaso Ciampa was going to undergo neck surgery and would be unable to defend the NXT championship. And so there would be a 5-man fatal 5-way to decide who was going to face Johnny Gargano for the NXT title at the next pay-per-view event. And so they proceeded to have 5 people come to the ring with their full entrances, and I think that took up like 10 minutes of airtime altogether. Here we're waiting for 5 tag teams to get introduced for this 5-way tag team scramble. It's not going to take quite as long as NXT, but it could be a while.
That's it,
So I'll check back in when everybody's in the ring. All right, all 5 tag teams have checked in. So we have Natural Fury versus the Ghoul Squad versus the Jinjas versus the Family and versus the Savage Society. The Savage Society has threatened to unleash dark magic on the Jinjas. For some reason, there's a chant of nacho fries. So 10 people around the ring, plus a referee, plus a manager, Drake Jarek, managing the Ghoul Squad, plus Charlie Jr. with the Family, plus other family members. So it's really crowded right now. It appears the Family is good at math because they've realized there's 5 teams, but a ring has 4 corners, so one team is extra. And so as Charlie Jr. said before the match started that they might just sit this out and come in for the belts at the end, the Family is actually just sitting in chairs at ringside while these other 4 teams are going at it. We'll find out. Solid strategy or not. Okay, the Family just made their move. But it might not be going very well. Joey Rancid got dropped into a chair, and now he's kind of walking loopy around the perimeter of the arena. Charlie Jr., as the ref, pulled over to the ropes. But now they're done, and the match continues, I guess. The Ghoul Squad has eliminated Natural Fury. And now the Savage Society is in the ring. And now that one of the teams is eliminated, there's 4 teams, 4 corners, and Old School Manson and Ivan Manson are both now up on the apron, ready to go. The Jinjas have eliminated Savage Society. which you'd think would be a good idea, but on the other hand, now they're alone with the family. And maybe that's a position they don't want to be in. Ivan Manson is now in there pounding on one of the Gingas. Charlie Jr.'s doing his thing, distracting the ref by pointing in the audience. But everything Ivan Manson did while Charlie Jr. was distracting the ref was perfectly legal, so I'm not sure why. Now both of the family are stomping on one of the Gingas. I'm kind of worried for the Gingas right now. Old School Manson just turned one of the Gingas into a pancake, and I don't know the names of the Gingas other than one of them and the other one. Yep, and after a stunner from Ivan Manson, the family has won. And so the family are the inaugural Wicked Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champs. Next up, we have a fatal four-way for the Supreme Wrestling Championship. The first entrant out is Mojo McQueen. 3 more to go. Nick Cutler and Jeremy Hadley are the next 2 out. When Mojo McQueen comes to the ring, he carries a box. He's like the Voodoo King, Mojo McQueen. He carries a spooky box with this blue smoke coming out of it. And boy, does it smell bad. You know that bad smell after you've lit fireworks? And the burnt gunpowder is sitting there on the pavement and you can smell it. Imagine like a giant pile of about 20 pounds of that and the smell that it would make. Ooh. But it is a cool effect, you know, so there is that. Jeremy Hadley is winning friends and influencing people. He's even yelling at Ref Jeremy. By the way, Rough Crossing is the 4th entrant here, so we have a fatal 4-way between Nick Cutler, Mojo McQueen, Jeremy Hadley, and Rough Crossing. Ref Jeremy in charge of the proceedings. Rough Crossing has found a way to get Jeremy Hadley to shut up. We'll move along from here. All four of these guys have been going at it nonstop for many minutes now. Just a moment ago, Jeremy Hadley and Nick Cutler were in the ring with Rough Crossing and Mojo McQueen outside the ring. But Hadley and Rough Crossing both sort of dispensed with their partners, and now Rough Crossing is in the ring with Hadley. That's an atomic drop. Rough Crossing is winding up his arm. Big right hand sends Hadley flying. And then Rough Crossing went for a big splash. Hadley jumped out of the way. Hadley's stomping on Rough Crossing while Nick Cutler is slowly coming to and getting back in the ring. So Hadley goes over to punch him in the face. Hadley's the smallest of the four, and he's the one standing right now. And he knocked Mojo McQueen off the ring apron. He's the giant among giants right now. I believe that is what we call hubris. One punch for Rough Crossing, one punch for Nick Cutler, and a kick to Mojo McQueen. Another punch to Crossing, another punch to Cutler. And now Hadley looks like he's about to slam heads together. But he's getting the worst of it now. Now it's Cutler and Hadley back in the ring with the other two big guys outside. Cutler got a 2 count on Hadley. And after a big flurry, Nick Cutler pinned Jeremy Hadley after a fisherman's brainbuster. I think that's what it's called. I'll look it up and learn it for next time. Nick Cutler is the inaugural Supreme Champion of Wicked Professional Wrestling. By the way, I almost had it right. It was a fisherman's buster suplex.
Wow, get your raffle tickets out. That was awful.
You know this is completely unfair. This man should be the champion. He should have been in the last match, and he should be a champion. You know what? You know what? I should have expected this. The fact that Wicked Pro Wrestling is run by a bunch of women who should be in the kitchen making me a ham sandwich and not running a wrestling
So you've heard Michael Allen on the microphone as he and the flawless one, Dave Allen, came out to the ring for the main event. Now Humek has joined them. There we go. We hadn't heard a good chop for the night. Humek just let Dave Allen have one. Michael Allen is an angry man tonight. He tried his hands at choking Humek while Dave Allen had the ref distracted, but it didn't last very long. He's talking up a storm around ringside, though. Normally he's such a nice guy, but tonight, wow. Dave Allen just laid in a whole bunch of kicks to Humek's left leg, trying to take away his base of support. And then he takes some time to talk, and he gets caught in a huge slam. And that was a mistake because Humek just got the 3 count. Michael Allen's protesting, which is a shock. I thought he would have taken the loss nicely, but go figure. And I think that's a wrap. That's the end of the debut show of Wicked Pro Wrestling here at Zow Island in Valparaiso, Indiana. Let's see if I can remember this rundown. The first show with 2 championships introduced. The tag team champions are the Family, and Nick Cutler is the Supreme Champion. And Diesel Troxy is the winner of the Anytime Anywhere trophy that allows him to challenge for one of the titles. Anytime and anywhere.
Oh my God, thank you all for coming out. That was our last match, by the way. That was our main event. But thank you all for coming out. This, like I said, means more to me than you'll ever know. Try not to cry like a baby, but please don't thank you. Thank you all again. Thank you all for coming out. Our next show, you know what? I'm choked a bit.
Our next show will be April 19th. We are hoping to be back here. So we have not announced the venue yet. But when we do, we will let you know. Stay tuned to our Wicked Pro Wrestling Facebook page. And we just really want to thank you all for coming out and sharing with us in our debut show. Thank you. And please don't mug this man on his way out. Okay, we might need security to go out with the man. Thank you all.
Thank you for listening to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. I think next week it's probably just going to be 2 hours of all music for Mostly Metal from 8 to 10 on Sunday and then 10 to 12 replay on Wednesday. And then maybe the weekend after that we'll get back to some wrestling chat. But I'm turning you over now to regular programming on WVLP.